You've got rationality 1 and rationality 2. I think Evans was stuck for a couple of names here, and maybe he didn't have the benefits of a classical education or something, but so he just called them rationality 1 and rationality 2. Personal rationality, sometimes known as instrumental rationality, rationality of purpose, and that is thinking in a way that's generally reliable for achieving your goals. Okay, so this is effective thinking about how to get what you want. And then there is rationality 2, impersonal rationality, rationality of process, thinking where there's a reason that's sanctioned by normative theory. So that's thinking logically. Okay, so 2 ways of thinking straight. Thinking clearly about what you want, thinking clearly about how things are. Okay? See the pure and practical distinction in there again? The rationality 1 is the one that we're all supposed to have, you know, as a kind of, you know, birthright. But we can't have it because of dilemmas. Rationality 2, thinking logically, is the one where you can state norms. They're logic or probability theory or maths. But it's the one that's hard to acquire. So the resolution of dilemmas can only ever be psychological, not logical. You know, weakness of the will, you know you should do this, but you do that. You know you should write this paper, but there's something on TV. You know, weakness of the will. Now, some people respond that picking up not P and Q is illogical. They're making a double error there. Because deontic logic isn't the same as indicative logic, so they're arguing on the basis of incorrect logic. But also, of course, there's nothing remotely irrational about looking to see how the child breaks the rule and picking up not P and Q. That really is the instance you need to look at. And we argued that the way to theorize this performance was to think about this kind of reasoning not as a kind of logical inference, but as a form of decision making. You have to take into account the desires of the 2 parties involved. The mother wants the room tidy, the child wants to go out. If those 2 bits of desire aren't in place, then the rule has no force. It simply won't work. I'm a temperamental, lifelong pessimist. Whether that's why I'm a Spurs fan or whether being a Spurs fan has made me a pessimist, I think rather it's a kind of selection process. There I was, aged 9, going around being pessimistic, and what's the football club that pessimists naturally find themselves drawn to? It's got to be Tottenham, hasn't it? Because they always let you down. So a pessimist is somebody who always expects the worst to happen and is a little bit disappointed when it doesn't. Since Wason's invention of the selection task in the mid-1960s, for over 40 years, people have realized that there is a great disjunction in people's minds between what they initially infer and what they subsequently reflect on, their subsequent reflections, their justifications about what they do. Say you have a £5,000 pay rise next year. That's pretty nice, isn't it? Then you have another £5,000 pay rise the year after that. That's pretty nice, but it's not quite as nice as the first one. And then you're earning £150,000 a year and you still get another That's not going to really, it's neither here nor there, is it, after a while? Diminishing returns. But the thing is that each of those £5,000 is worth exactly the same in the shops, but it isn't worth the same in your head. I always say to students in this case, when people shout out things, you never be afraid to be the only one who thinks something in the class, because you might be right. Usually you're wrong, but you might be right.